is good. There you go. All right. So over to you, Christine. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks to everyone else for joining us.
Well, thanks so much, Marianne, and thank you to everybody for inviting me to speak today on our newest software package, DivorceMate Lite. So can everyone see my screen? Yeah, okay, great. So basically what we've come up with is a package that's aimed specifically at sort of non-legal mediators and financial professionals. So rather than having the full breadth of DivorceMate with all of the information and all of the documentation that is not of any use to you, we came down with a pared down version. So we're going to be talking about that today. I'll talk about for about half an hour or so, and then we'll do some questions at the end, as Marianne mentioned. The other thing, sort of just to give you a little overview of what we're going to be covering. So first of all, I'll give you a little bit of overview of what DivorceMate Lite is, what's included in it. Talk a little bit about the new DivorceMate Cloud, because that's where our DivorceMate Lite package is offered. And then look at some of the products that you would have available under DivorceMate Lite, our forms, our calculations, and our agreements. And then finally, I want to look at briefly at our AI tools that we have in the software, as well as our educational resources. And then we'll get to your questions. So to begin with, why DivorceMate Lite? Well, as I said, we were really trying to find something that would work for people who aren't lawyers, people who use the software but don't need all of the court forms, don't need all of those very legal agreements that we have. And many of the mediators that we talked to said I'd really like to have DivorceMate, but I don't need all of this, and I'd like a smaller package and something that's maybe a little bit more reasonably priced. So we put our heads together and we came up with this package called DivorceMate Lite. So what's included in DivorceMate Lite? Well, you have the full calculation. So for those of you who are used to doing your calculations, you have full access to that. That would not change. You then have access to, rather than all of the court forms and all of the court financials, we have a set of ADR financials. So these are ADR versions without all the court references. And we have the financial statements available to you, so based on the 13 and 13.1. We have the NFP statement available to you based on the court form 13B. And then we also have the NFP comparison statement available based on the court form 13C. So those would be the financial forms that would be available in DivorceMate Lite. We also have a couple of our agreements available. These ones are specific for mediators. One is the parenting plan, and then the other one, which is relatively new and that Marianne and I worked very closely together on, and I very much appreciate her time and energies and expertise on this. But we created this mediation report, which is basically covering all of the subjects that you would cover in a mediation and would want to document for your client without all sort of the legal jargon, sort of leave that to lawyers to determine later in the separation agreement. And then just as you would with DivorceMate regular, you're going to get full technical support. You're going to get and that includes not only, I should say, we call it technical support, but it also includes guidance for calculations. So that's one thing that we do as well. So if you're doing a calculation and you really are lost as to how to input a certain type of income or want to question how you would handle a situation, we are available for that kind of support as well. You'll get all of the updates, and you also then have those two tools that I mentioned, the DivorceMate University, which I'll touch on later, but it's sort of our educational resource. And then you also have our latest AI resource, which is called Law Y. So all of this is packaged into our new DivorceMate Cloud. And this is our latest platform. We actually currently have 3 different platforms, and we're trying to move everybody to this new platform. The legacy desktop version, I don't know if anyone has used that before, but it's going to be sunset at the end of the year. So we're getting rid of that one. We had a legacy cloud version, which was a version that had forms and agreements that weren't in Word. They were in our own proprietary forms, and we still have some people using that. But what we've then created was sort of based on all the feedback we got from everyone, is our newest DivorceMate Cloud, which is sort of a hybrid of the desktop and the legacy cloud. It took all of the best features, which were primarily the fact that the forms and the agreements are in Word. People wanted the ability to be able to edit them, to be able to work with them, highlight them, do any kind of formatting, as well as all the great features of a cloud product, which is essentially the ability to work anywhere, anytime, and on a Mac or a PC. So you have that ability, no matter what you're used to using, you can use it on both platforms. So let's focus for the moment on the forms. So the forms, as I mentioned, you get these 4 different forms, and they're all found in the new DivorceMate Cloud. So I'm just going to jump over to the new cloud and show you sort of how it works. You download an app onto your desktop to use this. So you will access it from this app that gets downloaded onto your desktop. You can still use DivorceMate Lite on any computer that you have. You just have to make sure that whatever computer you're using has this downloaded onto it. So you can download it onto your laptop, onto your home computer, if you have a third computer, you can download it onto that. You can download it as many times as you want. And once you click on it and enter in your private email and password, which let me just double click and pull that up. It's here. So you're still going to have you're going to have an email, you're going to have your passwords. It's still unique to you, and you can access it anywhere, and then it will take you into your cloud documentation. So all of your cloud files will be available to you no matter which computer you're working on. So these are all of my files. I've prepared a sample for us for today. I called it Lite. And I don't know how many of you have used DivorceMate. I'm not really sure what the crowd's familiarity is with DivorceMate, but DivorceMate Lite's going to work and look just like your regular DivorceMate. You have on the left-hand side, if I double click, I have all kinds of tabs that you're going to go through and fill in the information for the parties. You're going to fill in their roles with respect to child support, spousal support, parenting time, decision making, if there's an equalization payment, whether there's a matrimonial home and someone will be remaining in possession. So you're still setting the parameters because those are all going to be used to fill out the financial forms and any of the agreements. You include the relationship dates that are relevant for the purposes of the file. And you're going to include the information on the children, their names, their birth dates, and who they're living with. And just in terms of the settings, I've set this, it's a separation and divorce type. That's what presumably the mediation you would be using in mediation. And then I've also set the version as ADR just because that's what we're going to be doing. We're not using the court versions. And once you've got those set for your file, you're then able to create all of the different product lines. So as I mentioned, we're looking at forms first of all. So if I click on forms, and you'll see I get the 4 forms, financial forms that pop up, the ADR versions, and I can select the one I want. So if I was going to help the clients create a financial disclosure form or they've created it for me, I would open it and it's just going to populate for you. I'll just show you what it looks like. There we go. And so it's going to put in the information that I had filled in from that the merge screen with all those different tabs that we completed. It's putting in the party's information. It's going to, in the case of mediation where you're acting for, or you representing both parties or acting for them in the mediation, it's going to take one of the parties. So if you have 2 parties that you want to do financial disclosure, You just give them a blank one and they'd complete it, and then you could import it into your software as well. And then you're going to proceed to go through and fill in the financial statement if that's how you work with your clients. Some of you might not even get involved with the financial disclosure. You might just use an NFP statement. I think it really sort of depends on the flow of how you like to work, but know that you have access to all of these different financial documents in any event. So I'm going to exit out of this one because I actually prepared one that had a little bit of information already completed just to, so I could show you how it works for an NFP statement. So when you get your financial statements from the clients and they've filled out that part 4 with all of the property information, if you have one from one of the statements, you can't use both, unfortunately, but from one of the statements, you can then take that information and have it automatically populate into an NFP statement. So for example, if this is the form that Sally has completed for me, and she has filled in some of the assets that she had, you can see she's got a matrimonial home, she's got some household goods, she's got a car, she's got some jewelry that she inherited, and she's got some bank accounts and a mortgage. So I put in that limited information. But if you have that financial statement, then you can just basically transfer that information from the financial statement onto let's refresh it, onto a NFP statement. And you do that with using a little transfer button that we have here. And what it does is it will take all that property information and queue it up so that you can then import it into an NFP statement. So if I then go to my forms and I now want to open the NFP statement, I'm going to open it. And what happens is it will tell me that there is data that's queued from another form that I can import once it finishes doing putting all this information in. And now it's telling me there's data to be imported. I can click OK, and it will bring in that client's data. So while I know you're working with both parties, this is at least a little bit of a time saver in that you can put in one party's information, and then from this point, you can then work with the other party. So for example, if we want to add, let's say that there was an investment property that Harry had, we could put that in here. Don't mind my spelling. And we'd put the value of that property in, or Harry's household goods value. Maybe he took the stereo. That always seems to be the way for some reason. Okay, and then if I hit calculate, you can see it's then going to take that, it's going to do the math for me, and it's going to be my NFP statement that will then determine the equalization payment. So you have access to that. You also have access to the NFP comparison if you want to have two side by side that you're working with, and you would simply transfer the data from the NFP to the NFP comparison. So those are the 4 documents that you would have access to. Okay, so the next thing that you have access to, let me find my little slide here that everyone's so nicely prepared for me, is you've got your calculations. So these calculations are, as I said, unfettered. You've got the full calculation. You can calculate life insurance as well as your child and spousal support. You can calculate lump sum spousal support. You can restructure support. You can look at net disposable incomes of the parties. You have all of that capability because you have the full calculator. And so once again, let's find that. So again, go to new, go to calculation. Here's the calculator. And for those of you familiar with the desktop calculator, this uses the cloud calculator, which is just a little bit more sophisticated. A calculator has a little bit more different inputs and a little bit more flexibility. So, but it looks very much the same as the desktop one. And again, it will, give you your table support. It will give you your spousal support based on the children and the incomes, and then we'll show you the NDIs for each of the parties. You then also have all of these different options. So you can override your child support, your spousal support. You can add scenarios. You can do an undue hardship calculation. You can figure out the life insurance needed to secure support or any lump sum support and restructuring. And this piece of software is a very complex piece of software. If you're not familiar with it, we do have a lot of resources to help you with it, but it can be invaluable in determining the support numbers that you need. And that takes us to, where's my last one? This is now to our agreements. So these are the two agreements that you have available in DivorceMate Lite. You have the parenting plan, which we, based off of the AFCC, the Ontario chapter's parenting plan template with their blessing and assistance. And then also the mediation report that I'm so thankful to Marianne and the OAFM for your assistance. So this is again, as I mentioned, it covers all of the different topics that you will be mediating. But what it does is it takes out sort of the legalese, if you will, and it allows you to just paper the document, paper the agreement so that then they can take it and have it turned into a legal agreement. So for example, we've got the preamble, and you simply select the clauses by checking the boxes, depending on which one, which are relevant. Parenting, you might want to specify who the children are, some of the parenting responsibilities, set those out. Who's going to be responsible for decision making? Is it going to be joint? Is it going to be sole? And if you want to see what a clause says before including it in the agreement, you can highlight the clause and then see it down here as well. So it just gives you a little preamble, or you can put it in, and if you want, you can then just take it out. But essentially what this does is it's a very detailed document with all of the different types of clauses that you may want to include. Once you create this document, it's in Word, so you can still go in and you can edit it. And in fact, you should be, because no document's going to be absolutely perfect based on just a template. You're going to be wanting to make sure that it's tailored to the specific facts of your case. So that is available to you in the agreements. I'll save that for now. And then the last thing that I want to show you is are the resources that you have to assist you using the software. So LawY, this is our AI legal research tool. And essentially, it is where you can ask any kind of question you want. So for those of you who don't have a legal background, but you're still negotiating and mediating these things, you may want to sort of know what the law says on something, or you may want to know what factors are to be considered, or you may want to relay that to the parties themselves. So you can ask LawY anything. So for example, I can say, what factors are considered in decision making, for example. And then I click on ask. And LawY uses Canly, so it looks at all the case law that's been determined, and it looks at various sources that have been vetted as being legit. So it's not going out to the web at large and just pulling off all kinds of stuff. It's pulling from a very tailored pool of assets. So a data source that's reliable, and it will give you the information that you're looking for. So you can see it's referencing some of the legislation, what things that have to be considered. And then if you get a question, you get an answer from the AI, and you still want to make sure that's absolutely true, you can then ask for LawY to verify it with a lawyer. So Law Y has this verification that's kind of unique to Law Y as an AI research tool, where it will pull, it's generating some questions from what I've asked, and then I can ask that question and have a lawyer verify that the answer that AI gave was correct. So it just gives you that added assurance that you're not getting, you know, uh, what's the word? I just lost the word.
Hallucinations?
Hallucinations. Thank you. That's my old brain kicking in. Yeah, you can be assured that you're not getting the hallucinations when you get it verified. And then that verified answer will go into the data that it sources from, so that the more questions that it answers and the more verifications that it has, the bigger the pool of information that it will then pull from. So that's Law Y. And then the last thing I want to show you is Divorce Mates University. So let me pull that up. The Divorce Mate University is really just our resource for you, with all of our webinars in here in terms of how you use the different products. So we have a section for getting started. We have a section for the forms and the precedents, just kind of giving some little tips and tricks on how to use the precedents, how to use the forms, precedents meaning agreements. And then finally, we have one on how to use the calculations. So if I click on the calculations button here, you'll see there's different webinars and information on all of the different topics that you might have or be dealing with a calculation. So if you're dealing with income determination and you want to know how to input dividends, for example, you can see we have a webinar on income determination, but we also have an FAQ on how to input dividends, for example, or even a how-to video that shows you how to input dividends into the calculation. So you will have access to this resource as well, full access with DivorceMate Lite. So that brings me to, I think, the end of my presentation that I wanted. Oh, and this picture, I always say this is kind of like, Tinder. This is what you think you're going to see, and then you see this. Um, but if anyone has any questions, are there any? I'm happy to answer them at this point.
Nice. Thank you so much, Christine. I think you look very much like your picture. I think, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're too kind.
This is good. Maybe should we stop? Oh, actually, I'm going to mention one point. If anyone is here and they would like Divorce Mate, Christine, or part of the team to reach out to them, they're going to put their emails in the chat. And then you can also, there's the senior sales manager there. So you can get in touch with them directly and say you were here and if you want more information. Um, and then here we go. Some questions rolling in. Um, what about any of us who joined Leap? And then pricing is a question. So I think,
Well, if you've joined Leap, you've actually got better pricing than you would get for just this DivorceMate Lite. And you actually have access to all of DivorceMate as well as all of Leap. So you're better off with Leap. Leap does offer more AI tools as well, which is really a huge benefit. One of the things that they offer, because it's a practice management where you can put in all of your documents, they have an AI feature called Matter AI, where you can actually ask AI anything about your matter specifically. So it's a really great AI feature. They're continually improving and adding more things to it. So if you are with Leap, I recommend that you stick with Leap, and you'll still have all of the divorce mate tools in Leap.
okay. Or is there like if someone was considering just, focusing on mediation and looking for the Divorce Mate Lite product because they didn't need access to the other tools that you described, what would the pricing be? As a question a couple of people asked.
It's
Yeah.
it's I think it's $160 a month per user for a 3-year contract.
Okay.
And then there's some other pricing if you want to do it for a shorter time. So that's something you would just discuss with the sales um, people that you talk to.
Okay. Divorce. Oh, and Rose, thank you, has put in a link to the pricing, so you can see it there. So I understand if there's a 3-year
Yes.
contract, there's lower pricing, but you could get a shorter contract, say you were close to retirement and pay a little bit more per month. Is that the
Yeah,
idea?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the 3-year contract, we're hoping people will do that because that what it does is it allow us to continue to put our resources into the AI and some of the other features that we want to add.
Yeah, the AI is cool. That's like
The
it's
AI is, yeah,
yeah.
it's amazing, really.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. I know that takes a lot of effort and organization. Is there any per use option? I don't think so.
Not anymore. We don't have that,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. And people are saying that they like the AI addition, so that's fantastic. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask a question of the team, I'm sure they'd be happy for you to do that too. We could even, okay, Sherry, do you want to stop sharing so we
Yeah,
can?
I was just gonna say, let me
Yeah,
stop
okay.
sharing so
Okay,
we're not
and
looking
I'm
at
gonna
that.
unpin you because I think that might
Perfect.
feel super weird. There we go. Sherry is
Hi,
there. Yeah,
hi, sorry.
Hi.
I lower my hand. I was going to try to type my questions a little too long though, so I'm glad you offered Marianne to
good.
jump in. And hello, everybody new to this forum. And I'm still a student, so I don't know much actually, but I do love Divorce Mate, and I just lost my freebie from York U, so I'm looking at the options. My question though is, I guess I'm wondering. I don't know if this is a question for you, Christine, or you, Marianne. Like, do people use Divorce Mate plus a case management tool on top of that? Because I was also introduced to ADR Notable that sort of manages the cases. And I'm just wondering what best practices are. I don't think you can kind of use Divorce Mate to like to manage the process of mediation per se, Christine, but maybe I'm wrong there.
No,
I kind of feel okay. Maybe
no,
you
I
could.
think Marianne, that's probably a question for you.
Okay.
I think process wise, like maybe what we all do as family mediators, right? So if you're getting your business organized, and some people do like a process tool, something to manage a case management tool. Um, Personally, I don't use a case management tool. I mean, that's just my preference. I work for a company and they have case management tools that sort of organizes everything for me, just because for me it's a side um, job. So it's not my main role. And I think if it was my main role, I would look into a case management tool so that I would be as organized as the company that I do mediations for is. So that's my personal answer. Others may give you some feedback on what personal case management tools that they use. Um, I don't know. Does anyone else want to weigh in that does this sort of full time? I'm a 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. mediator, or Saturdays at 10 a.m., sometimes Sundays. Depends. Does anyone use a case management tool they feel comfortable unmuting and saying,
Was going to say, Marianne, we're looking at maybe potentially doing it with separation pathways. Because again, we're a group and we've
oh,
got
right.
a lot of
Yeah.
cases, right? And they have to
Yeah.
move sometimes between different people. But
Yes.
I don't use it personally.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I see. And then thanks, Anne. And then the question around like what can you do, Sherry? Do you want to that one I thought Christine might be able to answer about what can you do in divorce mate?
Yeah, well, maybe a more precise question was, I'm vague, I'm sort of mildly familiar with the full Divorce Mate, and you've just described Divorce Lite. I'm not sure what's missing, actually. Like, are there any
Okay.
key things that have been dropped for Divorce Lite, is what I was wondering.
I mean, probably the hopefully not. I mean, that was the whole point of putting this package together to make sure that you had the tools that you needed. I think if you're a mediator with a legal background who often will draft legal contracts, that's the only piece that's not in Divorce Mate Lite. That's in the full Divorce Mate. But if that's not your practice, the mediation report is what you would be doing, and it's safer for you to do as well, just because it doesn't put you on the hook for things that you might, be saying that really you don't have the legal background to support it.
And I
Okay,
think the
thank you.
other piece that we've removed, which you wouldn't need as a mediator, are the court forms. So that's a big part of the full package that is not in Divorce Mate Lite, but it wouldn't impact you in a mediation practice.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Very
So
nice.
Also, just to note the LEAP family law, if you were just starting out, as you mentioned, you're just finishing school, that would help you with your case management as well, email management systems, accounting, billing. So you could kind of set up everything at once using LEAP family law and have access to the full divorce mate calculations and agreements as well.
That's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't appreciate the question, but yeah, it is a management system. And like I said, it's got, if you put all of your documentation into it, it also has a lot of really interesting AI features that would be very helpful.
So good. So good. We're talking so much about AI and in the world, and it's so good to see it being used so thoughtfully. Marty looks like she has a question.
Hi, yes. So first I want to thank DivorceMate, who has really been generous and wise to loan us the program during our family practicum. And it's been a wonderful gift for people who have graduated their program, don't have it anymore from York or wherever they graduated, and are divorce mateless for a while. So thank you so much for doing that.
Welcome.
So my question is, when you search the legal tool, which sounds exciting. I mean, you can go on Canly, you can search the law, but when you go on your legal tool, Christine, and is it just searching Canly so that what's returned is precedent rather than the law, right?
It's mostly Canly. It's also any verified answers that have come in from lawyers. It's that information as well. It's also some scholarly articles as well that it searches. So
Right.
but it's a very contained data set that it's looking at.
Okay, and when you say contained,
I mean, it's controlled. It's not going out and just picking up anything from, it's more responsible AI is what I like to call it.
great. So like vetted and not just
Exactly.
based on recency or whatever is out there. Wonderful. Thank you.
Can I
The other thing
elaborate?
that it can do that oops, sorry, Faith.
No, go ahead.
I said the other thing it can do that I didn't really showcase is that it can draft things for you as well. So if you are drafting a letter, you want to know how to explain equalization to your client, for example, you can ask it to draft a letter explaining equalization, and it will give you a draft explaining that concept that you can then send to your client. So it has a lot of neat features in that regard as well.
Another piece of LawY, when you ask it a question and it provides an answer, you always have the opportunity to click the verify button and you can send it to a local lawyer for them to verify it. So that's part of there's no extra fees, it's included in the software, and then a local lawyer picks it up and they can review your question answer, and you have an added layer of confidence in it.
Ooh, that's good. That's excellent. Looks like Anne has a question.
I was just going to make that point that you have that option to get it verified by a lawyer. But you know, the AI is great for weird things. Like I had a weird situation once where somebody had brought a horse into the relationship. But during the marriage, the horse had died. And so she wanted to know if she could get a pre-marriage deduction for this horse. And so like whoever hears about that, but you can put it into the AI and Leap and it'll come up with your answer.
Oh, that's
So
excellent.
I find it really helpful for odd situations.
Okay, that's good,
Yeah.
to know. So if you've got a
Yeah.
horse,
Yeah, if you've got a horse,
AI has the answer to all of
Exactly.
that.
AI has the answer. Yeah.
I like what you said, Christine, about making sure that you do edit what's generated. I think that that's like a key piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen a few things lately in accreditation world where people are sending me AI generated um, agreements to mediate and that sort of thing. And I've presented a little bit on this topic. I think that it is so important that we use this as a almost like a recipe book, and then, get the raw ingredients and then make them fit the clients that you're sending them to, like, little extra salt. They don't need sugar in their diet, or they're allergic to whatever, pistachios, take that out. So I feel like if we approach AI like a recipe book, it helps us, but it's not the finished product. So I think that's a great reminder for sure.
Yeah, I always think of it as a student, right?
It's a student.
It's a
That's a
student.
good way.
So
Yeah.
you would never just take what they give you blindly and file it or give it to
Yeah.
your client. You're going to review
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's important, and even the way things look. We're starting to see, like, I can tell if someone used AI to reply to me, or and I think it's absolutely fine to reply. I think it's time management system. I think that's good. I think it's just taking that a few extra steps to, like, have it a little look, make sure it doesn't say something you didn't intend it to say, and then send it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
because
definitely important.
yeah, so important. Any other questions right now?
I think I just want to pop in to say,
Hi,
um,
Katie.
hi.
Congratulations on your ACAPM.
Thank you. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Um, I was really interested to hear what the pricing was going to be, because I
Right.
know we have a roster of mediators that we work with, and some of them are full-time mediators, and so they have DivorceMate, and they'll be really happy to be able to save the money and move to DivorceMate Lite. But for other folks who are working kind of more part-time, I'm not sure they're going to be able to justify even the 160. So I think I'm just kind of popping in to sort of put that into the air, not to be a Debbie Downer, but just to sort of
Yeah.
paint the full picture. Because, there's mediation isn't always just, it's
As
it's an
lucrative.
accounting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an accounting thing for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I mean, from my perspective, I wonder if we have to do a little bit of work on, taxes, and ensuring that we, as, even sole practitioners, without a corporation, are able to make the appropriate claims on our expenses, so that we can get back some of the money that we use to pay for tools that we need. So this would qualify. I'm not a tax expert, but I would certainly claim this on my taxes to, as a business expense, just like I would my Zoom account and other insurance, SAC-FM member, like OIFM membership. These sorts of things are the cost of doing our job. It sounds like, it's price is always going to be a factor. The looking at your hourly rate and thinking, is that actually high enough to, cover my expenses? So it, it's not nice to think, okay, you need to up your hourly rates. However, the cost of things are just going up, and it's necessary to have a look at that sometimes, even though we might resist that. As a lot of us are heart-led individuals who are not, moving forward with our pocketbooks at the forefront, but our kindness and compassion and empathy are all there, but our business acumen has to be there so we can do the things that we love. So I've struggled with that, personally, like, trying to make it work and think about how this is lucrative and I can still keep doing it. And I've kind of come to the idea that, if I want to do this work, it has to be something that is valuable to me, both in a personal, professional way, and also financial, because it's my time, right? And we could be doing other fun things with our time if it wasn't generating an income that was useful to do the work instead of the time with family, for example. I don't know if that helps. I don't have an answer really, other than.
I mean, that would make sense if you do have a business and you can write that off. But as Kate was saying, most people don't have a business. They're just, working as individuals. And what I found really useful way back when is, if you get a client or two or six during the year, you were able to just add that cost, the pay-per-use cost, on their bill. So that was really easy, and that was justified, because if you don't have 20 or 30 clients per year to justify the funds, you can just bill it to them, and they understood that up front. But now that option's gone. So for a lot of people, it's not going to be as sexy as the previous plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I think okay, so I think we actually should talk about taxes a little bit, because even if you're operating a business and you don't have an HST number because you're billing less than $30,000 a year, you can still file your taxes as a person with self-employment income and write off reasonable business expenses. So I think that even for the smaller practitioner that's part-time, that can be, maybe I should think about having a tax expert come on and talk about that, because I certainly am not a tax expert. I do my own taxes through like an online platform, and I find they give a lot of guidance around how to do that. And I've been doing this for 20 years, and oh gosh, I shouldn't say that, knock wood, but never been audited for claiming my reasonable business expenses. So I think it's accessible regardless. Like, you don't need an HST number, you don't need to incorporate, you can still claim business expenses. That's my understanding. But I will put a big old caveat to say that's just my personal experience, and please check with your tax account.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there some other people had their hands up and now I can't find them. Sam.
Sorry, I was one of the people who had my hands up. I was actually going to talk about the pay-per-use option. I know DivorceMate used to do it way back when I started like clerking for a family law lawyer. And like from my point of view, I think I agree with the whole pay-per-use option. If it's something that DivorceMate is willing to consider, is easier for me to disperse to my clients. And I'd even be happier if technically I paid more in a month than the subscription, if I could just disperse it to my clients easily like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to throw my 2 cents in for that as well.
Yeah, I think pay-per-use is something that, like, when it stopped, OAFM and OACP and FIDRIO, we had a nice, great meeting with the folks at DivorceMate and asked about that. And there is an answer, which I don't know, Christine, if you want to share sort of kind
It's
of
just that we've sort of moved to the subscription model, which is how most softwares these days are going, and they just made the strategic decision that we're going to do it on this subscription basis.
yeah.
The powers that be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the answer to that one. Sonia.
I'm so sorry. Marianne, can you actually see me? Because Nancy's texting me saying, I can't see you on camera.
I can
Oh,
see
I
you
can
fine.
see you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So, because I'm like weird, I can see myself. So
Yeah,
thank you so much.
we can
So-
see you.
So I agree with Sherry, and I have the same question as she wrote it in the chat. Will we have a French version of DivorceMate in some near future?
In short, no, I'm afraid. The forms were something we considered at one point, but that wouldn't really assist the mediators in any event. But we don't have the resources at this point, certainly, to be providing the French forms or French agreements as well, unfortunately.
Thank you.
I always keep that on the back of my mind,
Yes.
but
It would be
not at
very
this
useful,
point.
because especially with in court connected context, I think we already have precedents, but just as like a lot of my clients, I serve the Francophone community, and everything I draft is in French. So, and I do it from scratch, but it would be so useful to have this resource, just to click and it's
Yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, if you're doing it, you could use it in English, and there's lots of translation apps that you could help you with that. So you have a
but
bit of a bit of a heads up.
Yeah. But the caveat about AI, especially when it comes to translation and legal terminology, it's kind of it could help you, but it
Yeah,
could
you
also
definitely have to
not very
review it for sure.
Yeah, you have to be very vigilant. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I know that is a struggle, and the tools are getting better with translation. They're certainly not perfect. So again, I guess it's a raw material to work with, and maybe one day it'll be in French as well. Excellent, thank you. Any other thoughts or questions from our crowd?
I think just thank you for thinking of us mediators. We appreciate it.
That's so nice. Yeah, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
agree. I think it is good. It's definitely, I think, thank you from OAFM, Christine and Faith and Rose for arranging this and for thinking of us and trying to work with us. I think it's a big shift, really, a culture shift for you to think of us this way. So we are grateful for that and think that the world of, consensual dispute resolution is one that a lot of families are better served in. So, having the tools to do that in a better way is absolutely so helpful. So, I will take the silence as maybe no additional questions. And if there are additional questions, you can get in touch with, if you didn't catch Christine or Faith or Rose's email, you could always connect with me, director at OAFM. I think all of you here, I feel like I know most of you, but you can always connect with me through the OAFM website if you don't have my email. And I would connect you with these three wonderful humans. And people are just saying thanks for the presentation. So that's good stuff. Yeah. So thank you so much. We
Well,
will,
thank you. I really
yeah.
appreciate you giving us the time.
Absolutely,
Take care.
absolutely. It's a
All
pleasure.
right.
And we'll see members later in December, and we'll send out notes about that. So a social event in person if you're in the GTA. All right. Thanks. Take
Bye.
care,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you. Good stuff. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. I didn't want to say bye, Nancy. Bye, Sonia. Have a good afternoon, everybody. See you. Bye.